Welcome to the Love, Sex, and Leadership podcast, where you can discover simple tantric teachings to embody your true power, awaken your soul's wisdom, and live an inspired life as a natural, intuitive, and heart-centered leader. Hello, and welcome to the Love, Sex, and Leadership podcast. Super excited today to have my friend Nisarga with us, having a conversation around our felt sense in the body and how we can utilize that felt sense to really rediscover who we are. I was just being that I'm American and that there's a big shift this morning in the political realms of things. I was just recognizing when I woke up and saw the Trump win, and I was very unattached either way. I felt like it was a lesser, both things were a little bit messed up, but I just want to name this. I felt a relaxation in my nervous system. I felt the felt tense in my body that was like, unmistaked to any part of my mind. It was like, oh, okay, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to trust that. So I love actually that we're having this conversation because I'd love to explore more of how this felt sense in our bodies navigate our lives. And I know that's a big part of the work that you do. So just super grateful to have you with us. Thank you for taking time and being here on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Aaron, for inviting me, and thank you, everybody. I'm very pleased to be here on your podcast and talk about felt sense to the community. It's I think it's a super important topic, and I work with felt sense for a long time, so I'm very glad to be here.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, when I share, we talked about the felt sense. Like, what does that mean to you? I know you work, in kind of somatic therapy and supporting people with body work and really breath work and coming into their bodies more deeply. But the sense of the felt sense, what does that mean? How do you describe that to someone who's maybe more in the mind and not in the body?
Right. So in very essence, felt sense is not a mental understanding, it's the physical experience of our being, how we are in space, how we are with our emotions, with our sensations, how we can be able to see our state. And it's kind of ability to perceive our well-being as such. So I think the importance of felt sense comes because we have been experienced different experiences in our life, and some of those experiences were difficult, or I would even say traumatic, and we disconnect from the physical body. We disconnect from some parts of our being because feeling them was too much, too difficult, too painful. And it's basically compassionate mechanism of our system, for our body to shut down. And living in this shutdown and being also encouraged by many societies in today's world to be in our head, to be cognitively engaged, to be in our mind, limits us to drop down into our body. Your specialization, Aaron, is about sex, love, and leadership. And you probably know that leadership just coming from the head is just very shallow. When we talk about leadership today, true leadership is someone, true leader who is true leader is someone who is have understanding and wisdom of and knowledge and connection to the heart and sexuality. So sex, love, and mind together. And my approach of felt sense is help people come down from the head into the heart, into the sex. And when we can combine these three centers, when we can combine being in the body, feeling safe in the body. Big part of this felt sense is rediscovering safety in the body. And the process of rediscovering safety can be painful because we have to go through the pain. Like Rumi said, the journey out of the pain is through the pain, because we will be rediscovering that coming back to those parts that we disconnect can be painful, to feel again the fear, the rage, the anger, the joy. So but it's essential if we really want to live in this beautiful realm, uh, fully embodied with joy, happiness, pleasure, pain. We need to really keep coming back to the body, and that's where Falsens comes very useful, because we're coming back home. We're coming back home into this body, which is
Mhm,
not just a physicality. It's more than that.
mhm. And I love that you bring in this piece around safety. I'm obviously both of us working in this field of somatics and working with the body, and so many people that I see aren't actually in the body and for many reasons don't feel safe in the body. So I'd love to unpack this a little bit more because what is it like for you in your own journey? Like, where have you rediscovered that safety? And obviously, there's a passion that drives you to support others to do this. So, where, like in your own journey, have you rediscovered that safety? Because maybe there were times when you didn't feel safe and you didn't even know that felt sense.
Right. Thank you. I work with the body-oriented therapy for 25 years. I used to be engineer in corporation, and I quit that, and I traveled the world learning. We meet in some of the Tantra festival together, so that's how we know each other. So that's my passion. Yeah, 25 years. I consider myself as a body-oriented therapist, breath worker, body worker. So safety in the body, it's for me it's continuous discovery. Of course there's time in my life that I still touch upon shame or pain or fear, and it's a journey um, that is ongoing, and I think it's a life journey, because there's a lot of experiences that happens to us that form our personality, that form our how we our emotional and personal structures, how we think, what we do, how we look. Even how we look depends on what happens to us in the first 7 8 years time in our childhood. So building safety means that we are able to reconnect to the painful parts,
Mm,
to the parts that has been disconnected from those traumatic events, embrace those parts compassionately, and bring them into whole conversation, inner conversation, why those parts has been created, because those forgotten parts are gifts. Those are defense mechanisms that helps us survive, but they were formed in the age of 5 or 6, let's say. Now in age of 47, why those parts still drive my life? Is it necessary? Of course not.
mhm,
So big part of safety is creating functional adult, this
mm,
part of our inner witness that can understand something happens in my life, and instead of blaming on the person or situation, I have a wisdom to look into what's actually happening.
mm,
Is that trigger really a danger right now?
mm,
Yeah, because often we perceive something in the present that happens to us, thinking this is danger, and we project on the situation. So safety comes with the wisdom of witness, of the functional adult that can look down, because there's a free personality structure, psychic structure in our being. First is wounded child, something that happens at a very early age. And on the top, very quickly comes adaptive child. That's defense mechanism. That strategy that helps us survive. Either it's
mhm,
controlling, disassociating, withdraw, and many, many others, but that helps us to survive those difficult
mhm,
times, and that's a gift in a way. But we
mm,
cannot come out of that structure if we not go one level above, which is witness, and then witness can recognize, okay, actually I am in my defense mechanism again. I go into control out of fear. Do I need to stay in control right now in my intimate relationship, let's say, or
mhm,
with my colleagues, or with my students, or whatever? And that helps to reconnect to painful sensation that can come with this realization, because because then we can shed out that defense mechanism, and what's under, it's usually uncomfortable sensation and uncomfortable feelings.
Mhm.
But we need to create little by little that safety in the body. And in the beginning, it could be just like a good feeling in my hand that is
Mhm.
that is feels good. And then slowly we build more and more of this embodiment, and allow an ability to stay present with uh, painful or pleasant sensations in the body, because we cannot just feel one without the other.
Mhm. Mhm.
Otherwise, we limit our humanly experience in this world.
Mm. Mm. So I'm really hearing you share there's a that there's a place of learning how to be with what is and being capable of witnessing what is without the judgment and letting our present day reality. The thing I often share is like, what is that reminding me of in the past where I haven't felt, where I haven't dealt with, where I haven't expressed the things that my body has been holding on to. So really, rediscovering safety is utilizing life as a place to support us to feel more deeply and feel more safe in the body in this
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, just one thing I want to add, and just being kind and compassionate to that part that is sometimes disconnecting. It is sometimes
Hmm.
not present. It does not allow us to fully feel, because there will be some situation that we need to withdraw. We need to withdraw because maybe it's not safe.
Hmm.
Maybe it's environment that that we need to still be in that old self, and it's okay. We don't need to be harsh on ourselves. Oh, now I'm not witnessing my body and my feelings. Sometimes if that happens, it happens for a reason. And if we have this communication with inner critic that comes and say, oh, you or me don't stay present again, and you are a bad person, or whatever inner critic comes in and tells us. And so just being mindful of those voices, because it's a journey that takes a while, and on this journey we need to be compassionate um, to defense mechanism that exist and probably will exist in our life, because it's just part of our personality structure.
So these defense mechanisms are really continuing to show up in a way to sort of provide a level of comfort for us to kind of mask and to deal with this, because that's our way of dealing with our nervous systems, these defense mechanisms, so that we don't actually have to feel what's underneath. So it's this rewiring to be able to have awareness of the defense mechanism so that we can drop underneath that and actually begin to vibrate and experience that which we didn't experience before. Does that sound pretty accurate in your sense?
That sounds quite accurate to me. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And curious for you, like obviously there was a very clear point of, coming from your kind of engineer world into this world. Like what was some of the driving why? Like something must have been like, okay, I'm not going to be an engineer anymore. I want to drive into this world to support people in this felt sense. And I'd love to hear more
Mhm.
of where that shift in moment happens. So this is, it's always interesting to me, these moments in life where we're like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm taking a new trajectory here.
Mm. It's a very interesting question. Look, since I was 19 at my in my teens, I felt some pull towards yoga, towards vegetarianism, and we're talking about 98, 99 in Poland, where my grandmother couldn't understand. I couldn't even say I'm vegetarian at the time. So it's not now. Maybe it sounds like it's fun, but I had to, at the time, my grandmother couldn't understand. I was visiting her, so I had to hide meat and throw it away after I left visiting her. She couldn't understand what it means. So we're talking about those kind of times. So I was somehow interested in spirituality in some ways that in the beginning was accessible. There was one yoga school in Warsaw at the time, and so and I think the big opening was 2005 when I went to India for the first time. I went to meet Iyengar, the founder of Hatha Yoga, and I went to Pune to Osho Center, and I started meeting people. And I was already learning as a holistically bodywork and touch, and I discovered that I love touching people. I discovered that touching people therapeutically in massage and bodywork gives me so much fulfillment that I could do it just for all my life.
Mm,
And being in corporation was not giving me that sense, so I already knew that I want to find a way out of it, and it took me 3 4 years before I find a way to segue from corporate world to become a bodyworker and travel India, Asia, America, etc., etc. But I think it was some inner feeling from teenage time that there's something more for me, and the passion to be in service, the passion to and fulfillment to help and support and grow. Nothing else gives me so much joy than just just working with people through body work, breath work, and other ways, like you do too. So you know the feeling. I
sure.
could do this job even if I was not paid, and it's just fun for me and joy, and I thrive when I do that. So it gives so
Mm.
much fulfillment.
Yeah, no, I can feel that, and I love that you've, transitioned into your life into a place to do something every day that you love, regardless of whether you get paid. That's something that I always feel about in that, like, soul leadership journey. Okay, this is what lights you up. This is what you enjoy, and because of that, I can see the smile on your face and the joy that comes through with that. So yeah, celebrating you in that way.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
I
brother.
yeah, I have a question on your perspective on this because I feel like as a humanity, with the rise of technology, with the rise of, even what we saw happen through the COVID days, where people kind of separating from actually having somatic touch with one another. And I feel like, children are more and more in front of a screen, and we're going into a society that's actually what I think more and more afraid of, like a certain felt sense touch between each other. And there's like this almost fear that's present inside touch because of all the bad things that can happen. So I'd love to hear your perspective on that. And yeah, I know this is what you dedicate your life to, the therapeutic aspects of touch and supporting people in this way. And like, what are some of your thoughts on this? Because this, not that I have fear around it, I really do have a deep trust in the trajectory of our lives moving forward. But I do feel that there's a people are so like almost longing for touch, but also afraid of it at the same time. So curious what how you feel about this.
Totally, I feel similar, and as you mentioned, there is a certain trust about life goes certain way, and people need certain experiences. But it's very saddening for me to see many communities and society in general that starve touch, starve intimacy, starve connection, and hence many illnesses that comes like never before. We have so many people getting sick of cancer, of a lot of different conditions that I think down deep is the cause of it is just lack of connection.
Mm,
There's a movie on Netflix called Heal, where they take into this research a few hundred people that beat the cancer stage 4 holistically, and they research them, and they come out with 12 different points what really worked in their journey. And one of the main, and they were of course changing diet, belief system, implementing herbs, massage, body work, but one of the top elements was connection and emotional expression.
Mhm.
And this is huge. And there's a beautiful quote from Gabor Mate from his book in his book Myth of Normal. He's an excellent trauma therapist nowadays. You can YouTube him. I really follow him because he has a lot of wisdom. And in his book, there is one quote that he said that trauma healing happens not because of the absence of danger, but because of the presence of connection.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So again, I repeat because this phrase somehow really is really bring the essence of what we talk about. That trauma healing happens not because of absence of danger, but the presence of connection. And I see it
Mm.
all and all again in the trainings where people come with depression, with so many different conditions. And just because being intimate with each other for a week, let's say, hugging, sharing, expressing, touching, you know, being honest, revealing truth, this all really self-regulate nervous system to the degree that is really amazing. Like
Mm.
people are coming off medications and getting better. And I'm not inviting anybody just to drop medication if that is prescribed by a doctors. But I see amazing effect of connection. And it's saddening how much we lost it in big especially big cities. um, we just isolate from each other for various reasons, starting from COVID or even before. So I trust that everybody find their way of healing and find their way to be intimate. I just spoke another day with a friend who's a therapist and also going through something very severe. And she just told me, "Man, I lived in London and now I moved back to Poland and I miss intimacy. I need to find some community because I'm getting nuts. I'm getting sick. I'm just people are so close-minded and there's not really openness for intimacy, and it's really not good for my health," she said. And
Mm.
and it's happening all around the world. And this division between humans, like now you said about Trump winning in America, how big division is that?
Mm.
It divides whole nation into almost into half.
Mm.
It's a huge problem. And because people look at each other from distance. And
Mhm.
so the work we do is great because people need that.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and I really just want to highlight that quote because that speaks like so many mountains and words of wisdom. This presence of connection, this presence of being with another, and the it's something I often share in training. That's like all of you is welcome, and I think when the body can really feel that, and the body can know that, there's a deeper like landing into this present moment that yeah, I think a lot of people are almost it's a foreign state that is so often disassociated in individuals' nervous systems and in the place of people in their day-to-day lives of actually being in presence and connection with another. So I'd love to hear, just in your own kind of personal journey with, this work that you're doing as a body worker and supporting people. How, like, what have been some of the both the beauties as well as the challenges in your own kind of personal relating world? Having a partner that's, teaching people about therapeutic body work. I'm sure your girlfriend loves that and loves your hands and the capacity of your healing. And I'd love for you to speak into some of the challenges of maybe what that brings into relationships and how you navigate those waters. So this is, I worked with a lot of practitioners and a lot of people who are doing both hands-on body work and supporting in this field. And this is something that comes up in their own personal life of how to safely navigate these conversations and these pieces more effectively. So love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. A lot of pros, of course, as I mentioned before, so much fulfillment, so much joy, so much just mission. It's I think it's the mission, and I believe honestly, like if we can find the life mission, it brings and purpose. It really brings joy. I don't think we would suffer from depression if we have mission and purpose really, really clear in life. That this is what I meant to do. This is what I meant to be. We can move mountains. We can find energy. We can just do so much if we really follow that passion. So just that is, I think, the best gift that I could possibly speak, that I found my passion in life for bodywork,
Mm,
breathwork, and somatic approach. That's huge. And I and I look around, and it's not that common that people uh, are driven by clearly by their mission. And so I think big part of the is a big part of the depressions in society is also because people lost their clarity, what they meant to do, and they're afraid to reach for their gifts. They're afraid to find their gifts and follow that passion. And like things that are bothering me sometimes or create difficulty is combining and creating time for the family, creating time for
mm,
in relationship, because I travel a lot. I would teach in many different countries, and so mm, some time ago I made priority, because work was for many years for me number one priority, more than relationship.
mhm,
Even
mhm,
though I was in loving relationships, somehow it became a priority. And then I looked back and I said, no, actually, even though it's priority, I cherish more and I value more the love, the intimacy, and the family, and that also nourish back my work.
mhm,
And I found that this shifted something in my being also, and I create more and more space for time off in between. I really reduce my work because I have to take care of my relationship, and that's for me priority. And I could see that I don't thrive the same without loving relationship. When my heart
mm,
is not engaged in, I start questioning, if is my purpose really serving by the end of the day? What does it serve? Okay, it does serve others, but finding that inner fulfillment for me without it, I lost wings somehow. I'm
mhm,
very tribal person, so it's me. It's my personality. And so the challenge is how I can navigate, how I can bring back nourishment, relaxation, emotional availability. Because other thing, I'm so available emotionally in the trainings that when I come back home, there's part of me that said, fuck, I don't want to feel anything. I just want to relax and just let me be
mhm.
people. I don't want to process anything. And yet
I'm
sometimes
processing all the time.
you know so I am fortunate because I'm in a very beautiful relationship where we do process things, but it's not like, it's not like constant drama.
Mm,
It's a beautiful space that I'm in right now, and my heart is very happy about it. But still, I look when I withdraw because I am tired or afraid, and I don't give a space to the closed ones because I'm just afraid. I'm just afraid.
mhm,
So those are challenges from the work I do.
mm. Yeah, so I'm hearing that you're feeling very nourished in your relationship, and that's really the driving force. And for a while, you were driven a lot by work, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. And actually finding that deeper chords of your own truth of the why has kind of supported you to have a more homeostasis in the relationship level. That's beautiful.
Thank you for hearing me. Totally, exactly what you said. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think this intersection, one of the things I love to discuss in this podcast is where this intersection is between, sexuality and our leadership, and how this, kind of erotic energies. I know you're working with people around their trauma, especially sometimes around their sexual trauma. And yeah, I'm curious what your thoughts are, especially as a male body in this field that's, helping, sometimes female bodies deal with their trauma that's often happened from male bodies and people coming
Mm,
in, and just some of the fears that come up, and the dysregulated nervous systems that arises. For myself, as being a male tantra teacher in the world, it's like there's often 1,000 projections on who I am before I've even opened my voice. So I'd love to hear some of what your journey has been with that, and how you like navigate that with a certain level of attunement and ease, like how you work with those energies.
mm. Big topic, sexuality. We are sexual beings. It's the main driven force in our bodies. Either we are in male or female body, and so I constantly encounter people that are coming for the trauma healing because of the sexual abuse. There's so much happening that is really crossing people boundaries in a very early childhood, which leaves the big scar on our sexuality and our personality. But what really helps me out is the safety, creating safety. I'm always very clear about my boundaries as a therapist. Always very clear about how do I speak, how do I present the topic, how do I include everybody in the room, how do I, you know, listen to people, how like it all comes into the safety. But in the same
Mm,
time, we need to not be over cautious, because that's also another part of it. It's with that people in therapy, especially states, because of so much um, sensitivity to the subject, became over cautious. So putting subject out there, teaching the tools that can be applied in sexual healing, but in the same time be very clear and creating that safe space. It's something, and compassion. When people feel that there is a heart involved in the sexual healing, especially sexual trauma healing, and there's a sense of compassion and understanding, and accepting person how they are. And I'm talking about compassion of understanding, because there's different types of compassion. There's this
mm,
first level of compassion. Oh, you are wrong, I am right, I will fix you. That's ego compassion. But compassion of understanding is where I say, you know what, I know you're suffering, I know your journey, I know how I could help you, but in the same time, you are perfect as you are, and there's
mm,
nothing to be fixed. I accept you
mhm,
as you are, and I
mhm,
will not
mhm,
give you any advice, I will not give you any guidance. You will show me what's your journey. And
mm,
when people see that there's nothing expected from them, and when they are accepted with their structure as they are, with no matter how traumatic it is and how much shut down they are, they trust, they start
mm,
open up. And then all the projection about who is Nisarga, is he male, female, is he, teacher or facilitator or whatever, just comes down to we are humans, we're meeting on same
mm,
level, and I see you. And actually most of your stuff I recognize as suffering for myself,
mm,
and
mhm,
we are on the same boat, and we're driving the same vehicle, and I'm here just to see and feel together, and whatever I can help you, supporting you in the journey. And that is something that I notice really helped me. That compassion of understanding is the crucial aspect that I bring in every training, every session, and every being that I meet in my journey.
So yeah, compassionately meeting them where they are, regardless of the projected field that they're creating. And that
Totally.
projected field might have a lot of illusions and a lot of disbeliefs and a lot of stuff that's being there. And so it's really a place of meeting them where they are. And in that sense of meeting, there's a relaxation of the nervous system. There's a deepening into the felt sense that's there. It's almost like you're creating a field that lets them go, I can let go of these projections. I can let go of these thoughts in this place where my mind's always running the show that wants to make you wrong and you're this and you're that, and actually being met in the place of the compassionate heart. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm, mm.
very much
And,
so.
you know, because I know you're also working in kind of with craniosacral work and the the place of literally how the brain and the mind is holding on to certain traumas and this rewiring that happens in the brain to create a relaxation. So those are people that aren't familiar with the craniosacral work. I'd love for you to kind of speak into how those literal rewiring. I've only had it a few times, but every time I've done craniosacral work, I'm just my whole nervous system rewired. It's so good. And it was so like light and gentle and simple. So where does that modality, support with this deeper place of rediscovering yourself and coming into this felt sense?
So yeah, big topic. Another beautiful question. Biodynamic craniosacral. It's always a bit difficult to talk about it because it's as you said, it's a rewiring nervous system. So in essence, we work with fluid tide. What fluid tide is that energetical presence in our system between our cranium, the brainstem, our mind, our brain, and going all the way through the spinal cord. And in the middle of spinal cord, there's a main nerve branch. And then we, with the supportive, gentle, soft touch, we allow the self-regulative wisdom of the body to start coming in place. In essence, what we do or what happens, because we not do anything, actually it's non-doing process. So what's happening, we allow people to drop from sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, to low tone of dorsal complex, which is rest and digest.
Mm,
We start stimulating vagus nerve, which is the main 10th cranial nerve that is responsible for coming into homeostasis, for self-regulation, safety, intimacy, relaxation. And we live in the world where most of us live in a state of anxiety, stress, fear, constantly watching news and being afraid what brings tomorrow. Like even now after the election that you mentioned in US, many people are afraid. And so
mm,
living in this state, we are constantly in high tone of dorsal complex, which is disassociation or fight or flight, being constantly looking for where is the danger coming from, who's going to hit me, who's going to harm me, where's this danger. And we know it's unrealistic because those danger never comes or hardly ever comes in form of some accident or injury that is
mhm,
just randomly happening, but most of the time is imaginary, coming
mm,
from past traumatic event. So in craniosacral, we basically bring this self-regulation to ventral, to self-regulate vagus nerve and low tone of dorsal complex. And our nervous system has two ways. One is motor sensors, and then there are motor fibers and the sensory fibers. Motor fibers are communication from the brain down into the body.
mhm,
So the brain sends signals, either autonomic nervous system or somatic, bend your hand or whatever response is. So brain goes down into the body, and sensory fibers are from the body back into the main computer, into the
mm,
brain. And that is 80% of communication.
mm,
So by craniosacral, we basically start relaxing those physical parts of our body, and then we give sensations the body to relax, and then this sends back signal, okay, now I can drop, I can relax. And then nervous system is the main system that's self-regulating all other systems in the body: blood
mm,
circulation, muscles, endocrine system, etc., etc. So by regulating vagus nerve, we saying to the body, now it's time to fix, but you are the master, and you fix whatever you feel is right to be fixed.
mm,
Because the body sometimes, we want to fix sometimes things that we are not ready for to be fixed.
mm,
And and um and people go into healing crisis because they might feel worse than before the healing process. And when
mhm,
that happens, we need to start questioning, is the person ready to let go of all this tension that has been created for 40 years?
mm,
Probably not, because then they're like, their nervous system freaks out. How do I live in this relaxation? It has to be gradual process to slowly allow the body to widen the neuroplasticity of the nervous system, start self-regulating and creating more safety. And that neuroplasticity change is happening usually over weeks, months, or years in some cases.
mhm,
So I love biodynamic craniosacral because it's really it's about listening and allowing the person to self-regulate whatever needs to be done. And they
mm.
are choosing, their body wisdom is choosing.
So the body's wisdom is really taking over through that practice to bring a deeper rest and digest into the nervous system.
Yeah,
You know, it's very,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
very,
yeah.
yeah. And
And I have
I
to, sorry,
go ahead,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
And I have to tell you, like, from my own experience, I am grateful for all my spiritual growth and from all my spiritual teachers and processes I've been done. But I have to tell you, looking back from perspective, that some of the processes I jumped into were too much for me. And I did it because fear was a driver for me. I told myself, whatever is fear, I jump to grow fast. That was my thinking, like many years ago when I was starting and when I was 30. And I'm grateful for it because I really experienced a lot, and I could really quickly discover what is my path and what is my gifts. But I have to tell you, if you ask me, not all of it was actually good for me, I have to
Mm,
tell you. And some of this was very traumatic that I still have memories of, and I still process some of this stuff. So yeah, we have to ask ourselves what is good and what is enough and what is safe,
mhm, mhm.
and choose the things that are safe, because sometimes we jump maybe too deep water. That was my experience, at least.
Yeah. So I love that you say that because, last year I was teaching over like 23 retreats, and, I know you're teaching a lot with large group activation spaces, like many, like this group field that we work with that are supporting people for healing, that is supporting people for, rewiring their nervous system to know these things. And what I just heard you share is that even in that, like your intention was, I'm going to keep jumping to meet fear, to meet fear, to meet fear. And I see a wide variety of personality types that come into these groups. Some people that are like, just like you, that are like, all right, I'm going to do this. And where is this intersection between the deep listening and the meeting of the fear? Just there is a place of really wanting to confront the fear to see what's on the other side of it. And I do see sometimes people in meeting their fear, it's like their nervous system gets a little overwhelmed, and they're learning through that. So it's not necessarily bad. Like what I'm hearing you share. It's not that what you did was bad, but there's a recognition that you kind of maybe overstepped your nervous system. So I'd love to break this down a little bit deeper, just in how this applies, especially into the group field that you and I are both
Mm.
working a lot in.
Yeah, yeah. Reading energies is one of them very important skill for the facilitator, group facilitator, and you need to read the field, and you need to read from the very beginning. And also in my trainings, I ask to fill up the form, the registration form, when I see what is the people state, what are the condition, are they taking any medication, etc., etc. But in general, I think what's most important is that mm, you know opening spaces and possibilities is what we do for people. Either they ready to jump or not, but giving the option from very early stage, cultivating the functional adult in people, giving them option, saying that nothing that I provide in this space is obligatory. There's always true choice, and we can always debate, and maybe my truth is not your truth, but there's
Mhm,
always possibility that we can talk about it. So I never put myself that kind of in a, let's say, guru position that you have to do because this is the way. No,
mhm,
this is just what I creating, and everybody takes as much as they are ready for. So this permission given to people, that they take as much as they want from the very beginning,
mm,
and understanding also of their personality structures and functional adult, when they take responsibility for their choices, it's a crucial. And when
mhm,
people get that, then with the safety in the field and intimacy, everybody jump as deep as possible. And of course, sometimes happens that people go a little bit too deep, and I have to monitor this, and I have to approach individually those people and check in. Hey, how are you doing?
mm,
Do you need to slow down? Everything is good? Do you need extra support? Do you need to step out for a few hours, be in nature? What's happening to you? And we need to read this energy, because for some individuals, still they might not be have enough maturity of the functional adult, and keep jumping to something that is maybe too fast, too quick, too much. And
mhm,
then have a conversation with those individuals on the side at some point, and see what they go through,
mhm,
because maybe they need to step back. And when people are uh, uh, when people are seen this way, then they start trusting, and they start understanding a little bit more what's happening, because often in the beginning of journey, people might be so confused, or you know lost in the journey.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, there's what I'm hearing you share, which I love, is really the deep listening that's required from the facilitator
Mm,
that's guiding them into the experiences. And I love that you bring this in, because I've recently in the conversation, something I'm going to be doing next year is like teaching people how to facilitate, and especially deep somatic experiencing facilitation groups. And I recently had a woman who came to one of the workshops I was teaching at a festival, and there was 70, 80 people in the room, and I guided the group into really like a deep inner journey of their nervous system to rewire some of their childhood memories and things that were there. And was kind of holding and experiencing all of that. And afterwards she came up to me, she's like, oh, I know how to do this with one or two, but I've never seen it like done with a big group. And I'm like, yes, like, don't do this at home, like, let your experience, because, it can look, and for yourself, it's like, you've been doing this for 25 years. I've been doing this for, 17, 18 years of holding groups. And there's a lot of learning that happens with how to guide people and the things that we're observing and the words that we're communicating along the way. This is really the place of where safety arises in that individual, because there's a trust that happens in this rediscovering yourself, and people are coming into these group spaces, into your body institute, to discover more of that trust. And such a um, it's such a fine tooth edge of where that trust can go away in just an instant. And
Mm.
that deep transformational moment is also fully present. So that the deep listening that I heard from what you're sharing
Yeah.
from both the individual as well as the facilitator is really the important pieces.
Yeah, attunement. I think it's about attunement and resonance. It's
Mm,
imagine like we are like antennas, and this being in resonance and being attuned to others. What it means really is refining for years this radio station that can pick up this subtlety of different energies, different people, and we listen, we look. Body language, we pick up energetical cues, verbal cues of people, and understanding of psychological structures, and personality structures. It all gives us the ability to read the energy. But again, it's like tuning up at the radio station and picking up those subtle vibrations from others or from groups or individuals. And when we learn from individuals over time, it's much easier also to expand to the group. So, of course, great advice you gave to your students who was impressed by holding space for group. Don't do it at home.
yeah.
First, learn how to tune in with your radio station, 1, 2, 3 people, and then keep expanding so you can really be refined with this. It's a skill.
Mhm,
Resonance is the skill. We need to empty ourselves out and listen without our personality, without putting our ego, just being like empty vessel, like a chamber of guitar. The sound, how the sound is created. There's an empty chamber of the guitar. You hit the strings, and the string vibrate in the empty chamber, resonating out. So
mm,
similarly with the resonance, the learning is how I can be more empty, how I can be more empty. And from this
mm,
emptiness, listening, it's much more different if I am in my head and I already make a judgment on person and I listen already wanting to give advice. It will be very different listening than
mhm,
checking in what person really wants to express energetically, emotionally, verbally to the world.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I one of the last things I'd love to dive into, because you call your the work you do the Integral Body Institute, and I'm curious if this is connected to some Ken Wilber work with integral theory, and where this integral piece is working woven into the felt sense. One of the groups I teach with, Awaken as Love, we work a lot with integral theory and kind of understanding the maps of consciousness and really rediscovering these different places inside. But that's a very specific word that can hold a few different feelings and tonalities and consciousness understanding. So I'd love for you to just share about, like, why integral? What was the
Mm.
essence of why in your work?
So, integral part of the institute, Integral Body Institute, is embodiment. Is we work bottom up. What it means, we work somatically with the body and acknowledging emotions, feelings, and express energetical expression. So. And the work around the school is based on the foundation of it is based on a breath, touch, movement, emotional expression, and meditation, mindfulness. Those are main factors that take place in our trainings, either it's breath work or body work. So I found embodiment is so crucial, and felt sense is so important into trauma recovery. And I'm not saying this is the only way, because working top down with psychotherapy can be tremendously uh, useful and bring amazing effects. It's great. um, but there's something that the body stores its own wisdom, and there's so much messages that if we lost ability to listen to these little whispers in the body, and
Mm, mm,
the when we regain ability to listen to those whispers, acknowledge them, express, follow our instinct, follow our heart, based also on our knowledge and understanding, without disconnecting the head is important. Then the healing happens a lot, and that's the integral part of the school,
mm.
embodiment.
Great, great. So listening to the whispers of the body, I appreciate
Yes,
that. Yes, yes, amazing. Well, yeah, I really appreciate, who you are in the world and what you're supporting humans with, especially with the therapeutic body work and helping people get through trauma. And, just this morning alone, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people in some level of trauma because of whatever's happening on a
mm,
political, economic, financial level. And yeah, I appreciate where your mind and studies are then meeting into the space beyond the mind into the body and really helping people navigate that channel more deeply inside. It's beautiful work that you're doing, brother.
thank you so much, and I also admire your work, Aaron, uh, traveling around the world. Now in Costa Rica and helping so many people. So
Mm,
beautiful,
mhm.
beautiful work.
And anything else you'd like to share before we close? Where can people find you?
I think the easiest way is my own website, nisarga8 .com. And that's my private page, and also Instagram, nisarga8, and also integralbodyinstitute.com. It's the school that offers breathwork training, bodywork training. So check it out.
Amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you for taking time on your day. I appreciate you. Appreciate you being a fellow colleague and brother on this journey,
Thank
supporting
you.
people. And yeah, look forward to continuing to see you out there in the field.
Thank you so much, Aaron, and beautiful day for everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for tuning in. This has been another episode here of Love, Sex, and Leadership. See you next time.